Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real, and I'm your host, Bob Gallagher. I'm joined in studio today by Erin Thomason with Ross Mortgage. Welcome to the show, Erin.
Thank you.
And Nancy Rogers of the Rogers and Mello team with Lair Realty Partners. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you.
And this is your second or third time back, right? You've done the show with us before.
This is my second time.
So you're an old pro now.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the markets you cover. You're in Merrimack Valley, is that right?
I'm in the Merrimack Valley, and basically it's a circle radius around Lowell, Massachusetts, Greater
Gotcha.
Lowell.
Gotcha.
Anywhere from Tingsboro down to Billerica, over towards Methuen, Ayer, Groton, Pepperell, Westford, Lowell.
So a pretty good size area.
Pretty good size.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Now, we asked you onto the show today because we wanted you to talk to us about how you choose a realtor. Well, if you're thinking about buying or selling, because there's obviously a lot of options out there, and we kind of want to give the audience a sense of what they should be looking for when they're getting ready to buy or sell.
That's a great topic because in today's world, I think there's too many options.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know, even if you want to buy a phone or anything you want to buy,
a car, a phone,
computer,
anything.
there's just too many options, and I think it overwhelms people and it confuses people, and then they don't know how to focus in on the right person for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a very important subject because you're going to be working with your realtor if you're selling your home or buying a home anywhere from 2 to 6 months, generally speaking. And you really want to feel confident that you're getting the expertise and the service you deserve, and you want to get along with that person as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's got to be a personality match.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's say I'm thinking about selling a house, and I mean, where do I start? I mean, usually people think, well, I got to interview a few agents and then make my decision from there. What question should I be asking in order to make the best decision?
Okay. I think you really want to look for somebody that's experienced.
Right.
And once you're meeting with them, you want to look for somebody with good communication, good negotiating skills, a good listener, and a good way to know that is if they're asking you lots of questions. Mm-hmm. Because if they're not asking you questions and trying to dig into your needs, and they're just talking about themselves, that's a bad sign.
Right. Right. And then I know a lot of people, because I deal with this as a loan officer myself, a lot of people think, well, you know, my brother's best friend from college's cousin just get into real estate. I guess I should talk to him. Kind of give us some of the, you know, things to look for if you're going to hire somebody new, like what you might be potentially giving up and what you should be looking for if your agent is on the newer side of things.
You're giving up a lot if you go with someone new, unless they're on a team. Mm-hmm. I'm a team leader. I have some newer agents on my team. Kate Duffy's been with me now a little over 2 years. And when she first started, she had me to guide her. Mm-hmm. She still has me to guide her. So as long as they're on a team with an experienced team leader, that's going to make a big difference if you go with somebody new. Mm-hmm. If you just go with somebody new that has not been through training and doesn't have a mentor to guide them, you're going to be sorry. And there are things that could happen that will be a nightmare for you.
Right.
I can actually give a perfect example.
Yeah, please do.
Kate, who's on my team, had a listing in Westford, Massachusetts, and she got an offer on it. So she came to me for assistance to go over the offer. And they had a condo under agreement in Worcester. So I told her, you need to get a copy of their agreement on their condo in Worcester and that buyer's qualifications. Mm-hmm. So she got that, and we sat down and we started going over it with her. And one of the first things I noticed was that buyer of the condo in Worcester, it was contingent upon the sale of their house in somewhere in Western Mass. And I said to Kate, okay, what are they selling? We looked it up. It had been on the market already for several months. And I said, no, That's a no-go. You do not want to tie up your property with that type of a domino effect. Just bad news for your client. So when she went back to the agent in Worcester, she found out that agent was new. And that agent, no way, no how, should have gotten their client, that condo in Worcester was on the market for 4 days. And he got them tied up under a contract with someone who has a house to sell.
Oh, that's tough.
They didn't know what they were doing.
No.
Really scary out there. You got to be so careful.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's really no substitute for experience. And it's not like any of us are knocking new agents. I mean, that's the lifeblood of any industry. You have to bring new people into it. But there's a way to do it if you want to be good at it and gain the experience you need to be able to help people. And the problem is I shouldn't say a lot. There are some new people that feel like, well, I got my license, I went to the class, I do my continuing ed, I don't really need anything else. But there's a lot to being an agent.
A lot. More than I could even think of in my brain in one sitting on a radio talk show. But some of the big highlights are education is everything. It's not that difficult to get a real estate license. And the continuing ed classes are more about legalities of agency disclosure, lead paint laws.
It's compliance stuff. It's not about skills.
Stuff, right.
Yeah.
So when you're new in the business, you really have to get involved and invest in yourself. It's a self-employed career.
Yes.
It's straight commission. There's no paycheck. And you have to have some money to invest in yourself on education that's outside the box.
Right.
And a lot of agents don't have the money, the time, or the desire to do it. And those are the agents that are going to suck. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
They're going to suck.
Yeah.
And they're going to torture you, the consumer, in the long run. There's so much out there that I share with my team that they can go to for education. There's a ton of it out there that there's coaches, there's classes for how to market on Facebook and Instagram. There's classes on negotiating. There's classes on current market conditions and how to help your buyer win the bid. There's endless amounts of resources, but you have to be a self-starter and go to them and pay for this and make a huge commitment that you're going to continue to do everything you possibly can to become an excellent agent and give your clients the best service that they deserve.
Right. So there's a lot to it.
A lot.
I mean, we're barely scratching the surface.
Barely.
And that's another thing, too. A lot of people think, well, if I'm going to list my house and give up whatever the percentage is going to be, maybe my focus should be on whoever is going to list it for the lowest commission structure. And a lot of times people don't realize what you're paying for isn't for somebody to put it in MLS. You're paying for somebody that's going to help you present your house in the best possible light, and somebody that's going to actually have the negotiation skills to get the price you want.
You are absolutely right. And I have found over the years, there's always going to be the consumer that all they care about is what they're paying. They don't see the whole picture, and they never will. Sometimes they get lucky.
Right.
And it goes okay and closes. And most of the time, they learn the hard way.
Yes.
Because I have picked up the slack on several occasions from discount real estate agents where these people will come to me, usually by referral at that point. So-and-so told me to call you. I've been, I was listed with a discount real estate company and it really went awry. Can you help me? And some of the things that went on, I was just shaking my head. But these people went from refusing to pay more than 3.5% to paying what I charge and gladly paying it. And I brought all of them to a successful close within a reasonable amount of time. So unless you really understand or experience the difference, you won't get it.
Right.
But would you go? I mean, I know this is an extreme example, but if you go to see a doctor, are you going to shop price or shop experience?
Yeah.
If you have a medical matter. Well,
Yeah.
this is a huge financial matter
Yes.
in your life. And I know that I would gladly pay a little extra for better service and
Right.
experience and someone to lead me to the closing with the least amount of stress and
Right.
inconvenience. And I'll tell you something too. A skilled agent will get a better sale price for your house
Yes.
in the long run. Again, perfect example. I went on a listing appointment and I didn't get it. It went to a discount firm. These people were dead set stuck. They interviewed 4 agents and they were not paying more than X commission, which I wouldn't do. So they listed it with someone else. And of course, I followed what happened with it.
Yes.
And it went on the market, and it went on the market on a Thursday. It said all offers, if any, due Monday. I told one of my team members about the house because I knew they had a buyer for it. So when I went to her and said, hey, how'd you do with showing that property on C Street? She said, it's already under agreement. I said, what do you mean it's already under agreement? It said all offers, if any, due Monday. She said, I called to show it the next day. And the broker said it's under agreement. So I watched till it closed. And when it closed, I saw that they received the asking price for the house. That house was worth more. If they let it ride through the weekend and did it with a skilled agent the right way, that negotiated properly for them, they probably would have gotten anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 more for that house.
For waiting a couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that agent just didn't care.
Yeah.
An offer came in and she said, take it. So they took it.
Well, yeah. If you're already working at a discount, you don't want to put any extra time into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's an example of getting what you pay for. And it happens a lot more than people realize.
It does. I mean, it definitely is all about the experience.
Yeah.
I think you can shop at Marshall's, or you could go into Nordstrom and pay a little extra and be waited on hand and foot.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be waited on hand and foot and you don't care what you get for the house and how it's going to go down with negotiating skills, then by all means go with a discount agent.
Yeah.
But consumer beware.
Absolutely. And then kind of switching gears to the buy side, especially if you're a first-time buyer, most obviously a first-time buyer not having been through it before, they don't know what the process is like. The last thing you want to do is go to an agent who also has no idea what the process is like.
Exactly. You really want a skilled agent, and you really want someone that's putting in the time for you. What I see as the most common mistake on both sides for the real estate agent and the consumer, we get the phone call. Hi, I'm calling on 1 C Street. I'd like to see it. Can you show that to me tomorrow at 3:00? Yes. Get there. Are you pre-approved? Yes. Okay, great. I'll see you there tomorrow at 3:00. And they hang up. And I'm like, what? Like, that makes me crazy because that's a disservice to the real estate agent. It's dangerous. And it's a disservice, more importantly, to the consumer. That's how you know right off the bat if you have an experienced, skilled, good agent. Because the first thing they should do is set up an appointment with you to come into the office. And we hear this all the time. Well, I just want to see the house. I don't want to come into the office. But you do. You're looking to buy a home. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if that agent is asking you to come into the office, that's so you can interview each other. Make sure you're a good fit. And that agent can sit down with you and ask questions. What are you looking for? Are you handy? Would you do a fixer-upper? What's more important to you? Location. Do you need one level? Do you care about there's a million questions we want to go through, and it only really does take about 30 minutes
Right.
in an initial meeting with a buyer. And we go through the process with them so they know what's going to happen, when they're going to need the money that they're going to need, how it goes from start to finish, from closing, and then we find out truly what they're looking for. We have them give us their wish list, what they can live without, what's a must, and then we take it from there. And we go over what it's going to cost them
Right.
as well and make sure they're hooked up with a good, responsible, reputable lender.
Like
as
Ross
well.
Mortgage, for
like
example.
Ross Mortgage. They're awesome. They'll never let you down.
That's right. Because, and that's, I'm glad you brought that up too. A lot of people that do choose the right agent, sometimes they don't listen to the advice the agent gives them. You know, going to the credit union somewhere down south that's offering a crazy rate for a day to save a few bucks a month and then end up closing later on your house, or worse, losing your house or your deposit because you couldn't close. You know, you definitely want to work with somebody local.
Absolutely. You want to look with someone local. When someone's pre-approved with a lender through the internet, I won't accept that as a pre-approval because I've seen too many horror stories go on where they'll just go online and
You're not
get
alone in that
pre-approved.
either.
Well, yeah, a lot of those online things, they just ask you, "What's your credit? What do you make?"
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay,
And
you're
they're,
approved.
They're in another state.
Yes.
And then the problems pop up and they're not, I'll give you another perfect example. I had a listing, beautiful home. The exterior needed a paint job very badly. Peeling paint beyond peeling paint.
Yeah.
And I was a listing agent. Buyers 20% down, pre-approved with a big national bank. Am I allowed to mention names?
We don't say names.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they're pre-approved with a big national bank that's all over the country. And the lender rep is in Texas. And I thought, oh, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah, you know, the second you heard that, it was over.
So I called him and I actually had a very nice conversation with him. I said, okay, this guy, he seems on the ball. He knows what he's doing, I believe. So we'll just go with it. Big mistake. The buyer was 20% down, conventional, and we find out last minute the lender doesn't want to do the loan because of the peeling paint. It's an old house.
Yeah.
So they're concerned with liability with lead. So I had them reach out to one of my preferred lenders right away. We closed in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's the difference. That's why when you're paying somebody for their advice, you're best to take it.
Exactly. And this whole hullabaloo cost them money.
Yeah.
They paid for an appraisal. They paid for an application. They lost time. We couldn't close on time. The new bank took over, did it as quickly as they could, and they did a great job. But it's just crazy not to go to a local lender. And the moral of that story really, truly was that in Texas, the underwriter, looking at the pictures of the house, the appraiser put in his report that it needed to be painted very badly. The exterior was in poor condition. And she's looking at the age of the home, 1890. She's in Texas. They don't have homes like that.
No, they don't.
So she recommended that the loan be denied.
Yeah.
Where a Massachusetts underwriter, a house built in 1890.
It's not that uncommon.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
No
That's
big
like
deal.
maybe 10 years older than the average home.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today, Nancy. I want to give out your contact info before we take a break. We're talking to Nancy Rogers with the Rogers Mello team at Leah Realty Partners. If you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in the Merrimack Valley or Greater Lowell, you want to give Nancy and her team a call at 978-337-5227. Again, that number is 978-337-5227. I want to thank you again for joining us today, Nancy.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.